Hey mini enthusiasts, how are you doing? Welcome back. I hope you're well and I hope you're having a great day. So in today's video, I do something very silly. We're going to get the rear valance all welded on, spot welded up, and we're going to get the rear boot hinge panel repair section fitted. Now before we get into that, if you fancy some classic mini workshop for the upcoming show season, check out the link in the description. Logo that polo, they make some top quality gear. We'll get right into the video in a moment, but like I say, I done something very silly. I hurt myself quite badly with the angle grinder and it's in today's video. Now things happen like this and it would be very easy for me just to exclude them from the videos, but sometimes I want to show you that I can be just as stupid as the best of them out there. So yeah, I hurt myself. It seemed pretty superficial at the time, but I've got to be honest, the older you get, the longer wounds take to heal. And it's been nearly 3 weeks now that it's really hurt. So yeah, be careful out there, stay safe, and don't do silly things like I do sometimes. Right, a couple of days later, there's our Valance, looking beautiful. It is ready to go back on now. So, we are, I better take off the masking tape from under here. Ain't gonna help, is it? Yeah, we're gonna get it spotted on now. We are probably just gonna put a few spot welds across the top because there's 3 layers, but we can spot weld inside here, along here, and get it all on. So I'll set the camera up, we're going a bit of time lapse, and we'll get this bit done. Hey mini enthusiasts, how are you doing? So I thought I would narrate my way through this one because there's quite a bit of time lapse in this video, and yeah, music's very subjective, but I do occasionally get comments that people can't stand the video, so do a bit of time lapse, something a bit different. It's quite a long video, this one today. It's just over 30 minutes, which is longer than usual. So I'll start out by just saying cheers for the beers, everyone. Thanks to everyone that supports the channel through Buy Me a Coffee. There is a link in the description. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I don't like doing direct debits. I've often considered Patreon in the past, but I just think the Buy Me a Coffee, Buy Me a Beer thing, you can just do it as and when you like. If you like a video, if you want to say thank you, then it's there for that. So we're obviously refitting the rear valance here. Yeah, all going well. As pointed out by one of the subscribers actually, the rear lip, so the rear lip on the valance, the rear lip on the boot floor, and the rear lip on the bottom of the rear boot panel, hinge panel, is actually bent downwards slightly. There's a slight angle on it. I think that's probably there to prevent water from collecting, but I can bet you bottom dollar that the cheaper panels aftermarket probably don't have that bend in them. So I'm just under here with my spot welder. I actually bought this spot welder. It was 100 quid with the tongs on there from Facebook Marketplace. It's done me proud actually. It's nothing special. It's just I think it's a Clark CT11. It's quite an old spot welder, but it does the job. Unfortunately, as we'll see later in the video, it does have its limitations when you're trying to go through 3 bits of metal. It's just not quite powerful enough. But those long tongs on it are very useful. In fact, the tongs themselves are probably worth more than the welder costs to buy. The smoke you see coming off when I am using the spot welder is just because there's weld through primer in between the panels, so it's burning off that paint. And you can see there I've just put some masking tape on the edge of the panel to stop the spot welder prongs touching the paintwork. My wife just telling me lunch is ready, and I'm just there with a file cleaning up the spot welder tongs. It's quite important to keep them cleaned up and a nice profile on them as well. It helps the welder. Just getting the rear wheel ready to come off now. So the rear wheel's got to come off so I can get the spot welder in and basically spot weld the closing panel to the rear valance. So first off, cleaning off the paint with a strip and clean disc, and then we can go in there and just spot weld that joint. Got my new safety goggles on. Someone mentioned I look like Ali G. Quite funny, I thought that was. Just moving around the other side, same thing. Again, a little bit of masking tape just on that rear quarter. I'm looking like I've got a bit of a glow. I've just got back from I had 4 nights in Turkey. I didn't get my teeth done, no. Just needed a bit of a break. I hadn't actually had a break since Christmas, really. So yeah, went away with the wife. This job on the rear valance, obviously it's turned into a bit more than I thought it was going to be originally, but you know, it is what it is. I always had my doubts about the rear end. I knew a repair had been done for it, on it. I could see the receipt, but yeah, not really done to the standard I would like it done. Hence we're doing it again 11 years later. So this was where I was really struggling with my spot welder. Yeah, trying to clean up the tips there. It just, if you don't have a really nice clean tip, good profile on it, doesn't always work. It just heats up the metal rather than fusing it together. You've got to be really careful, because you can think it's spot welded perfectly. Typically you hear it ping as it cools down, and that's a spot weld breaking. Going along a bit of hammer and dolly work here. Like I say, that rear lip is down at a slight angle. Yeah, I mentioned actually, music's very subjective. People tend to, I get comments about the music. It's very difficult finding copyright-free music that you can use on YouTube. And I know people hate it, but there is a volume button. If you don't like it, you can turn it down. And trust me, I think the music is better than the sound of an angle grinder. Right then, good bit of progress. So that valance is all on and sort of 90% welded now. You'd have seen me having problems. I mean, I've just put, what we got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 spot welds along the top there. Like I say, when the next panel goes through, you're spot welding through all 3. But I was having problems with the welder there, and it wasn't, you know, you weld it, take it off, and it go ping and come off. But it's really important to make sure the tips are clean and that they are the right size as well, because if they get too big, all you do is end up heating up the panel and you don't actually fuse the panels together. As you can see, these are quite, I mean, that's probably about 2.5 mil, 3 mil maybe. And that's probably around about what you want. If they're any bigger than that, like I say, they just heat the panel and the tongs up and don't actually do anything. So that's on now. All the corners are done. We're welded down through here. Now when you weld these ones, it does actually dent up the panel. I could skim filler over there to make it look all smooth, or I could just leave it, because from new they were just left. So when I look under the back of a Mini, if I don't see those dimples, I think to myself, has that got loads of filler in the rear valance? So I might leave them as they are, because that's how it would have looked originally. So we're welded about, spot weld about every inch along here as well, along onto the rear quarters. And I just put some Furtan on some places just to protect it while I'm still doing it. Inside, so let's go underneath, have a look. I don't know how well that'll come out, but you can see we're all welded in nicely there. I've scratched off the paint in places where I got the poking the welder in, so I'll probably try and touch that up with some spray paint. If not, it will just be getting a good coating of wax just to protect it. But that's up inside. And then obviously I cleaned off all these edges, drilled the holes, made sure that this lip is matching now. So it's all looking pretty good again. Yeah, pretty pleased with that. Next job's just to get the top bit on now. Easy, eh? Right, so I've just lined it all up. Looks to line up pretty well, to be honest. Like I said, it goes right up to the bottom of that rear light unit, and actually you're going to lose all of this bit here because it'll actually be behind the light rubber down the bottom there, so you won't actually see it. Obviously these bits around here are going to be exposed, but that perfect fit there all the way along the inside of here looks pretty good as well. This side, the only thing I've noticed is like that hole's out on the corner there. Obviously that's got to go in, you know, it's only like a 0.8 of a millimetre, so it's not going to make a huge amount of difference. But yeah, just this corner here, but everything else lines up. So I've actually gone along and I've scribed this, so just with a sharp chisel, just gone along and I've scratched the metal to scribe it. And if I take the clamps off now, can't get that one off. Get my panel out of the way. There's my cut lines, which I'll do with a nice slip disc on the angle grinder. Although I've left no margin for errors, but it'll be fine. We're not going to overlap or underlap the panels or anything. We are just going to leave, hopefully, sort of 1/2 mil gap and then just fill it with weld. So the disc I'm using here is just commonly known as a slip disc. You'll see, naughty me actually, I haven't got the guard on the grinder. Good reason for that. Yeah, those slip discs are very good, but you can do quite a bit of damage with them. You've got to be careful with discs actually, especially things like those slip discs, because yeah, if they're sat around in the garage for a year or two, as might be the case, they can get damp and the abrasive material on them can deteriorate. You generally find that when they've deteriorated, they just wear out really, really quickly. just for really fine bits, like getting right up into the corners. You can see I'm just using like a Dremel multi-tool there. It's not actually a Dremel, it's a Black & Decker, but it's got the Dremel slip disc on it. And then just removing that final seam along there. Couldn't actually see exactly where the spot welds are. Sometimes in that case, just go along and just keep going through it, you know. Just use a spot weld drill and just go up the piece of metal, and then you go along. Once you start hammering, chiseling it out, you'll find where the tough bits are, and that's where the spot welds are. Then just a strip and clean disc, just cleaning up the edges, getting ready for welding. If you have any paint on there when you're welding, it will interfere with the weld. Well, any contamination, any paint, any sealer or anything like that. You want just clean, bright metal when you're welding. Now, very important point to notice here, as mentioned by MC Motors, when you use the strip and clean disc, ouch, it looks a lot worse than it is, and would have probably been a bit worse if it wasn't for the glove. Right, it's just a graze, so don't panic. Yeah, that's an abrasive wheel that for stripping paint off, so it strips skin off quite nicely. But yeah, could have been worse. And that is the danger of not having a guard on there, but unfortunately you can't get a guard on with those strip and clean discs because they're too big. But yeah, let me go and get this cleaned up. Stay safe. It didn't hurt. Right, we're bandaged up, good to go. It is just a graze, honestly. I run it under the tap for a good few minutes. It just takes skin off, but it is quite bruised. It obviously bangs into it, so anyway, let's get straight back on the horse. So as I was just mentioning, actually, yeah, that was a really silly thing to do. I'll mention about it later on in the video, but it's because I didn't have the guard on there. But if you are cutting or grinding, you always want the sparks going away from you, and like using the strip and clean discs, you want to be stripping off the end of the panel, if you know what I mean, and not towards yourself. What was quite scary about that actually is when the grinder caught the glove, spun out the hand, the on button has got like a lockout on it, so it was still running, so I had to quickly juggle it, catch it, turn it off, otherwise it would have probably dug into my leg or something like that. Yeah, not big and I'm not clever. I've mentioned a few times before actually, you can never have enough mole grips. I always run out of them. I run out and I think I've got about 12 pairs. So, I've actually got the guard back on again now.
Back on my own, so I won't
So yeah, I was in two minds whether to make this 2 videos because it's quite long, this one, and actually the previous video, part 3, as of today, hasn't done very well at all actually, in terms of views. So if you've not watched that video, go back and watch it for me please. I need to get the views up. Just a bit of weld through primer going on there now. Now you'll see me use a hot air gun every now and again. It's just to speed up the drying time. Just a bit impatient, to be honest. It dries pretty quickly, weld through primer, probably about 10 minutes and it's dry, but if you use a hot air gun on it, literally a few minutes. Got to say, new goggles better. I can actually see what I'm doing now. A few people have commented in the past as well about, you know, how do you do it, getting up and down and off the floor and on your back and crawling around and that sort of thing. As I mentioned a few weeks ago, I'm 50 this year. I do feel it. Next day, getting out of bed. Yeah, if I've been working on the car, it does take its toll. Right, here we go, getting that back panel fully welded in now. These first few little welds are really, really important to make sure you're getting it perfectly lined up. If it starts to go wrong here, just cut out the weld with a slip disc, realign it, weld again. Once you're tacked in place like that, and once you commit to sort of seam welding it, yeah, if you've any slight imperfection, you're going to have to take out with filler, and the less filler the better, to be honest. I think generally if I'm using filler and when I do this bit, it's never, I would say, I can't say I've ever actually measured it, but I would think it's 1 to 2 millimeters maximum. Not like when you see it sometimes and you see people with filler and it's like ½ inch, an inch, 2 inches thick in some places. Yeah. It's a necessary evil. And I know some people have mentioned about lead loading. Never done lead loading in my life. It's, you know, it's what I used to do in the olden days before filler was available. Arguably, it is better. But I've got to be honest, never tried it, wouldn't have a clue what I'm doing. Probably also quite difficult, I'd have thought, to lead load on a vertical panel. Right, a few days later, I am still alive and it's healing up, so don't worry about me. Thanks for the kind comments. Yeah, so what happened, initially I actually thought, I didn't, you know, watching it back in slow motion, I didn't realise it was actually the glove which caused the problem, but it was all just down because I didn't have a guard on. So these strip and clean discs, when they are brand new, they don't fit on with the guard. Once you've worn them down a bit, they do. But if you've watched the video, what actually happens is the angle grinder catches the edge of the glove and then digs in, it bites in. So yeah, I'm sure people will tell me how silly I am, and yeah, health and safety first and all that lot. I will say though, did hurt a bit at the time, but not half as much as it hurt when I got in the shower and got the minty fresh shower gel on it. Whoa, that stung. Let's get this all welded up now. Right, that's that side all welded in. So we spotted down the edge there, and we've welded all round here now. I even got up into this corner where that really big gap was. Now it's going to be a pain in the arse to clean up, but I'll come back in a minute once it's done. Let's just have a look on the inside. Yeah, we can see we've got good penetration. The welds are pretty much popping out the other side as well. So let's get that linished back. Right, that's that linished back now. So yeah, we've left a bit of weld showing. Obviously that'll have a light skimmer filler over the top and we'll lose that weld line. Hardest bit was getting the grinder up inside there, but again, little skimmer filler over there and we'll be absolutely fine. So that's that side done. Now I've got to do this side actually. Oh, this side is better. I haven't got such a big gap around there. So yeah, let me get this side done. And then final bit of the welding will be spot welding that lip. Right, it's getting exciting, nearly finished the welding. So this is all good. Again, it's a little bit proud there, but we'll have a skimmer filler over that. And we shall be good to go. Now I just need to spot weld this lip. I'm using Mark's spot welder because it's a bit more powerful, and he's got the right tool for cutting the tips. So hopefully the spot welding goes well. What I need to do now is try and replicate the original spot welds. What I need is a Mini that hasn't been molested and hasn't had its rear valance changed. Luckily, I have that in the Super City. So I'm going to go out, I'm going to measure the gaps between the spot welds, try and make sure I get approximately the same on the back here. So the spot welds are about every 1.25 inches up to probably ranging between 1 inch and 1.25 inches. They're about 30 mil. So I've gone along with a pencil and just marked on there. We'll get the spot welder out now and get this final bit done. So I'm using Mark's spot welder here, which is more powerful than mine. And he has a proper tip cutter as well. They're very hard to get, those tip cutters. I've tried to buy them before. Just not available, the type that Mark's got. I just tripped the fuse there. So I did have all the fuses upgraded in the garage and circuit board done. I've probably just had it plugged in the wrong socket because there's only one of them that has got, I think it's a C16 breaker, which is like a slow blow 16 amp. I might be wrong there. Does C16 stand for 16 amp? That doesn't sound right. Anyway, I had the electrics upgraded for the spot welder. So yeah, as I mentioned earlier, really important to make sure you get good clean tips that are cut the right profile. And just take in mind we're welding through 3 bits of metal there, so yeah. I think Mark's welder actually is rated at 13 kilovolts. It's more powerful than mine anyway. You do have to let the spot welder cool down as well. I think you're only meant to do like 3 welds a minute or something like that. And there we go guys, all done. Well, not really. I've just mocked everything back up. So I've put the boot back in, put the rear lights in, even put the bumper on just to make sure everything lines up, and it does. I had a little bit of fettling on the bumper holes. They were just a little bit too far forward, so couldn't get the bumper under the hinge, but yeah, all good. And you'll see now what I was talking about. So half the weld is behind the rear lights, so I've got all of this area to blend in the paint. probably the hardest bit, is if it doesn't match the boot lid, because you'll see the difference here. I need to clean up that corner a little bit more, but again, you can see the weld line goes into the headlight. Yeah, pretty pleased with that. The spot weld, Mark spot welder, is yeah, just much better than my one. Right, all stripped off again. As you can see, I'm very pleased with those spot welds. It just welds really nice, Mark spot welder. All 3 layers, not a problem. Nice neat spacing. So yes, next bit I need to do inside, I need to run seam sealer up the inside of this lip.